Shechtman to communicate the Commission a desire to bring up for discussion to the Commission the Flagler Greenway concept along the east side of the FEC tracks from Sunrise to Davie. Well, we have it from Sunrise to where? I mean, there is a small stretch there.
A little tiny stretch.
Behind
near,
Searstown.
Yeah. If we could extend that, that would be great. That's a great start. I'd like to extend it. Oh, I've talked to MPO about extending it up towards Cypress area as well.
Yeah, I think it's a great idea. I was talking to Jay. Other cities have already signed or are in the process of signing agreements with FEC for
Well,
portions.
we fund this though.
Laudertrail could.
No,
Well,
but we'd have to get FEC agreement.
Yeah.
That's what I'm saying. So, in other words, other cities are already starting to do this. Is what
All right, so if the Parks and Rec
articulate.
Board wants to initiate a project and come back to us, if they've already met, if they can meet, let them do the initial groundwork with FEC to work with them to see even if there's land available.
But I also would like to hear more detail about some of these ideas. So, I mean, it says a discussion. Is there any way that we can have Jay or someone, whether it's Jay or someone else with Laudertrail, do something? Because I think the concept's really interesting, and I think as we move forward now, I'd like to see it.
Perhaps we can invite we can invite the chair.
I'd like to see what
signed up for public comment.
Oh, he signed up? Do we have public comment?
Why you talk now?
Well, we have someone sign up for public comment. Jay Shechtman.
There you go.
Perfect.
I didn't even know you were there.
Yes, he's been waiting to.
Thank you for staying on this.
I was hoping I wouldn't have to say anything.
We
All
do.
right, well, hello, everybody. For those who don't know me, I am Jay Shechtman. I am on the Planning and Zoning Board. I'm also the chair of the Laudertrail Working Group, which the city established to create 7 miles of walking and bicycle trails. Great timing. We were just talking about where we can have scooters travel within our city. Obviously, bicycles as well. About 6 months ago, I believe, I'm just guessing time, I came and spoke to you all about an elevated concept that would be environmentally friendly and that would cost a lot of money, and it would help people get from A to B expeditiously and would be very favorable for those with economic issues who would like to get around Fort Lauderdale easily. I'm just going to pass around just a rendering. I think later today you're going to talk to the group that's working on the 3D rendering. So what you can see here in this map of the city of Fort Lauderdale is what the city would look like if it were completely built out, which of course is inevitable.
Maybe in your life.
Maybe in my lifetime, maybe not. But I do believe that what you can see by looking at this, the green line that you see there is the quote-unquote Flagler Greenway, which, as you can see, when the city is fully built out, it completely bounds our downtown urban core. So literally any part of our future downtown is going to be immediately accessible to this. Of course, the FEC right-of-way, could take people directly to Brightline, which could help them solve their last mile problem of people getting off the train and not being able to get to where they need to go. So what if I told you that the really expensive concept that I put in front of you about 6 months ago could be done at the ground level along the train tracks? And what if I told you that we as a city already approved this in 2003 in our downtown master plan, which is where the Flagler Greenway is? You're correct, Mayor, that there is a part that we've already completed along Progresso Drive. I actually, from the side, of course I didn't trespass on the right-of-way, took pictures of every part of the side of the right-of-way. There are parts where there are up to 30 feet of just large swaths of vacant land that if we were to initiate a rental agreement with the owner of the right-of-way, we could easily convert a lot of that space into park space, something that we so desperately need today. Of course, there's the concern, why would FEC let us use their land? Isn't it an issue if we incentivize people to be walking or riding bicycles along the right-of-way. And I would actually argue that the improvements that we could make would make it a lot more safe and would prevent trespassing onto the tracks. Broward County today, according to the MPO, is #1 in the state and #9 in the country for railway trespassing. So putting fencing along the right-of-way, like what we've done on Progresso, would help with that. Now, there are also other parts of the Flagler Greenway which are completed. Just north of the bus station, for example, there is green paint there, looks really nice. Of course, it doesn't connect to anything because there's a gap between there and the part the mayor was talking about. Then, of course, we're completely redeveloping the lot where the bus station sits. We could easily, in our plans, which we're currently working on, integrate connectivity there. The ex Las Olas building, which is currently under construction just south of Broward Boulevard, is also, as part of their existing site plan, which is already under construction, completing connectivity there as well. So I think now is our opportunity, especially with discussions on a new railway bridge or a tunnel, including connectivity there to then include, to have it connect to the south side of the river, would make this a system that would put Fort Lauderdale truly on the map. We could have something akin to what I showed you last time, the elevated thing, for example, going just from where the bus station redevelopment is across Broward Boulevard, leading up to the future bridge that will be going over the river. What that would do is really help us with the issue that we have where people get off Broward Boulevard. They don't really know where Fort Lauderdale and downtown starts and ends. We don't really have anything iconic. So imagine driving into Fort Lauderdale and on Broward Boulevard, you have greeting you on this iconic pedestrian bridge perpendicularly, people waving and riding their bicycles, exhibiting their love for the outdoors. Not only would this be a safe place for scooter riders to ride and bicyclists, it would be zen, it would create park space. Other cities, as Ben mentioned, Hollywood and Oakland Park, have already successfully made agreements with the FECR, rental agreements, whereby they pay annually to rent that space for use for pedestrians. And I see no reason why Fort Lauderdale couldn't do the same.
All right, so why don't you take that message back to the board and come back to us? I mean, this is an interesting chart. I think, some of this is open to interpretation, but, I think as the city evolves, we're very sensitive to the need for open space, and a lot of the projects that you suggest could be goals. Believe it or not, we're working on them, like a pedestrian bridge over Broward, and trying to create and to try to move forward with a tunnel concept for the railroad so that we have more open space. That greenway will actually cover the area where the tracks is now. So all kinds of things are happening, but I think in terms of the greenway that you speak of, I think it would be great to at least see what the opportunity is going south and going north from where it is now.
I think it's a great idea too, and I'd like to see the whole city included. So we end 84 up to Cypress, really, that whole corridor, and then even west to Lockhart. So I think there's conversations and partnerships in addition to what you've even mentioned. So how does he really make this happen, or how do we assist him in really making this happen? Should we give him a commission liaison to kind of work on this through the
So maybe I can interject. So our staff has reached out to the FEC and begun the discussions of what it would look like to have a trail near their tracks. They very honestly said, please let us get a bright line and quiet zone done and then come talk to us again about it. And so those projects have sort of neared completion.
They have 11 days.
There are.
So now we're ready.
And I want to clarify that Brightline and FECI don't own the right-of-way. It's owned by Grupo Mexico, who operates the freight trains. Brightline has an easement agreement to use that right-of-way in perpetuity.
Okay, so.
But there is an agreement that we could enter into that would allow us to be within a certain distance of the track. The place that we're probably going to have some conflicts is if there's not enough distance, you can't have a fractured trail that makes any sense. That, if it's required to be 15 feet away from the tracks and you only have 11 feet, it would intermittently start and stop potentially. Is some of the feedback that they initially provided to us. Is let us, so I think it's probably, rather than sending it back to a board or committee, it's probably worth your professional staff continuing to look into it, to bring back a recommendation, and just to report back.
Can they also, I know if Jay has other, like he just said, he took a lot of photos, he's done some work, he's created, 3D visual things. Can he also maybe just somehow have an appointment with you, talk, show you, so that you could bring it back to staff or whatever? So I want to take advantage of the work that he's done also so far.
Sure, yeah, I'll connect him with Karen Warfel and Tam.
Okay,
To
good.
facilitate that introduction. If it's not already made, you may already know Karen. She's the one who's working on our behalf to explore this opportunity.
Okay, great. Thank
Yeah, I
you.
look at the stop. I look at the stop and go as well, especially where we already have it in Progresso. We stop right there at those tracks, which is very difficult in a car to get across. And then you have the junkyard, and you have those two new housing developments that sit contiguous to these right-of-ways we're talking about. Where are they gonna go? 2 feet from the tracks? I mean, we have to be realistic, and we probably got to wiggle away from the tracks and maybe go up Andrews there, because as you look at sections, you're gonna have to really figure out that A, you can't do it in some places, and B, what's the alternative route than this straight green line that we're talking about now.
Yeah, I mean, I would just argue that I having looked at all sections that are outlined on this map, there's really only one small portion that would probably be too narrow. The rest of it is pretty, in some parts, very wide, and just there are large swaths of land, which even if we didn't create a trail, we could do something with FEC to create additional park space.
Yeah, but go to Broward, right? You get the county garage. Where's the land on the west side of that?
If the commission would like to perhaps set a time in the future for me to come by and show you the images that I've taken, if you look around the big box that they put there to obstruct the view, there is so much land next to that garage that we could do a farmer's market along a right-of-way there. I mean, there's so much space and so many things that we could be doing that we're just not, and my concern is...
And I'm not killing your idea, I'm saying we gotta be realistic and how it really can work. It can't be a straight line based on, I mean, even where we started at Progresso, we stopped there for a reason because of what was happening at that particular, it's not even an intersection, it's a slant,
Yep.
a turn,
Sunrise.
another slant. So, I mean, to be realistic, to get something done.
I think the takeaway here is that we encourage you to
Keep
pursue this
going.
project. Try to come, and we're gonna have to do it in sections anyway, so let's just take another section and see how we can
Yeah.
implement it, and then we'll continue to go in that direction. I mean, I don't think we wanna take that, we agree with what you're trying to do, all right?
And as a reminder, this is not what I'm trying to do. This is on the city's downtown master plan. This is something
Right.
that the staff has looked into in the past,
Right.
For it to have made it that far, of course.
Well, that was 16 years ago.
Correct.
And
But
we're all a lot older than that. I voted for that in 2003. We all knew what we were trying to do, but we were still, we created that with the idea that there was a certain amount of idealism involved, and that master plan is now being re-looked at to try to massage and make it more appropriate to the evolving times. So in fact, I don't know when the next meeting is for the downtown master plan public input. We just had one.
Has that been
last-
rescheduled?
Yeah, it was rescheduled. I don't think there's been a date.
It conflicted with
Dates, yeah.
Anthony, Downtown Master Plan Workshop, has it been rescheduled after that conflict?
I think they're still looking for an exact date. They're looking for sometime in June.
Well, we need to move this along.
I think we should go David Beckham on this.
We had this conversation at the Uptown Master Plan meeting. We talked about mobility a lot, so.
Anthony, we keep
We did
delaying
it.
this, and delaying it is only going
Just come to Cyprus, we'll get it going. Come on, I'll work with you, I promise. We'll be ready by March next year.
In all seriousness,
She's trying to move the center of
I'm
gravity.
moving the center.
In all seriousness, I gotta get
You'll come
going.
to-
I gotta get going, but in all seriousness.
Well, we gotta get going.
I know.
Thank you, Jay.
In all seriousness,
Sorry to keep you, Jay.
Sorry.
in all seriousness, I do hope we don't spend too much time just studying and looking, because now with the redevelopment of the bus site, with the discussions of, now is our opportunity to
We're on it,
actually
Jay.
make this happen.
So get with Karen, it's
Thank
your next
you.
step.
Thank you for your
We're
work.
on it. You're
Thank
doing a
you.
great
Keep
job.
it up.
Andrew.
Thank you.
Love the passion. Sorry to keep you.
Yeah, thank you.
Yeah, you got some.
Friends back there.
Beautiful.
David Beckman has his own money.
Yeah, we got it.
Right.
That means get
I don't
things
know what
done
that
fast.
means.
That means get things done fast.
Okay, well, this is a commission that gets things done fast.
A new word.
Okay, Economic Development Advisory Board, motion made, City Commission consider adding the Economic and Community Investment Division to support the deliberations involved with the Inter-Miami CF Soccer Stadium proposal in an effort to add additional expertise and assistance. Further, the board requests that all significant economic development projects consider the involvement of the ECI and the Economic Development Advisory Board. What does that mean?
Slow it down.
So I think if I translate that, what their request is that we have an Economic and Community Investment Division, and they would like that group to be a part of the negotiations with the Inter-Miami Soccer Stadium proposal, which
It's already
candidly,
done.
as your city manager, I can't support.
We're in the process
I got
of
it.
doing that now.
Yeah, that's